Hi, this is Brenna Davis. Today I'll be going over the results and my interpretations of my early childhood students' basic reading inventory. So let's get started. First off, I'm going to call my student Poppy because her favorite movie right now is Trolls and she likes Poppy from Trolls. She's 5 years old. She will be starting kindergarten in the fall. She's a daughter of a coworker, and it really was convenient because I got to get to know her pretty well this school year, going over to their house a lot. So we have a good relationship. So she was the perfect student for me to do this on. She is super outgoing, super fun. She can't wait to start kindergarten. She loves school and learning. But she seems to be right on target with most of the academic skills that she's presenting, so I thought she would be a good candidate for selection. Poppy loves to read. She has a huge book collection. She likes to read about movies and characters she enjoys. Like I said, she likes Poppy, and she has a lot of books relating to the Trolls and Moana and things like that. She has a great attitude towards school and the environment it presents. Her mom obviously is a teacher, so I think that definitely helps play into it. It's clear that she's been exposed to lots of pre-academic skills with her parents, so that's great. So let's get started. First of all, after looking through the beginning kindergarten passages and word lists and things like that, I was thinking it was going to be way like over her head, especially because I worked in a preschool this year and I kind of have a good concept of where they're going to start off in kindergarten, and knowing Poppy, same thing. I knew that she definitely has some skills, but after looking at the first kindergarten passage, I was like, whoa, I'm going to probably start off with the early literacy assessment. So I'm glad they had that piece in there to kind of, start a little bit lower for those kindergarten kids. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it somewhere else in the slides later on, but once she's in the middle or towards the end of kindergarten, it would be a whole different story. I think those passages are completely appropriate, but at the time right now, just starting, not even, it's June, so she's still got a few more months till she even starts kindergarten. So I decided to do the early literacy assessment, and I'm glad I did. It gave me a good picture of where she lays in that aspect. So first of all, I assessed her alphabet knowledge, and she got 26 uppercase and the 28 lowercase letters. She named them all correctly, so that was really good to see. Next, there was a writing piece, and she did a great job, kind of orienting herself to the paper, knowing to start on the left. To write from left to right. However, she did start in the middle of the line, not towards the left side. She made letters, she wrote her name, so she had a strong writing ability. Next was a piece where they are reading wordless picture stories, so she had a great sense of how to make the story up. She was super creative. She used appropriate language. She looked at the pictures to see what the people looked like they were doing and kind of made up her own words. As well, there was a piece where I asked her, where do you start reading? Where's the cover? Things like that. So she had a strong knowledge of just literacy rules in general. Next was an auditory discrimination, and she was strong with that. She was able to notice the difference between sounds of words, so like bab and dad. She could tell that one started with a different sound, and then words like you would say full, and she did notice that they were the same. Phoneme segmentation was where she kind of fell off a little bit, and I think that was great, a great thing for me to see, because that really did play into what was going to lead with the graded reading passages, because a lot of the things in the passages rely on phoneme segmentation and like phoneme awareness. So she got 7 out of 11 correct, and it was really, I was asking her to break apart a word and tell me each sound, and that's a skill she hasn't practiced yet. So really, do I expect a beginning of kindergarten student to know this? Probably not. You know, a lot of those kids are going in there without any knowledge of the alphabet in general. So she was able to make the sounds, and for some of them, and some of them she did successfully pull apart. But yeah, I mean, she wasn't strong, a lot of clumping with letters that I was asking her to break apart, but I really didn't expect anything more. So I was really glad I did this early literacy assessment. It kind of helped me guide where I would start for the next one, and I guess how far I was going to push her, because I didn't want to push her too much to try too many of these, beginning of kindergarten passages. So for the word lists, I started with, sorry, one second. I started with the list A, the KB, which is beginning of kindergarten, based off her age and experience. Of the 6 words, she got 1 correct, and it was the letter I. So the other words, go, is, he, dog, run. She did give me g, like letter sounds that she saw in the word, but she did not say the word altogether. So she got 1 correct, which was I, and then in the analysis, when I gave her another chance again, she got I correct. So I did go through with her and, say the letter sounds together to kind of help her. But like I said, excuse me, she missed one, or she got 1 correct. So that technically put her at a frustrational level. However, these are new ideas and materials. She hasn't had much practice blending letters and sounds to make words. So did I expect her to be independent or really even instructional with this? Not necessarily. So she fell on the frustrational level for that. I didn't keep pushing. I could have gone on to the next word list, but I thought this was a good start, a good introduction to what she might be doing in kindergarten. Next, the oral passage. So I chose passage Form A, KB again, based off age and grade, so the beginning of kindergarten. In this one, there was pictures of cats, and the words were the cat sits, the cat walks, the cat eats, the cat sleeps. I asked her to tell me what she thought it was going to be about. She said cats. Great, awesome. Then her interpretation of it, she had substitutions and insertions that kind of threw her off. So where the sentence said the cat sits, she said the cat is sitting. She inserted a word and then she changed sits to sitting. So a combination of those kinds of things. She had 4 errors, which put her at the frustrational level. But I did say that, what she added and what she changed wasn't affecting the story. And again, lack of exposure and, practicing these skills is something she hasn't done. So she's at a frustrational level, but really I think it would be more of an instructional level because she was, appropriately labeling and looking at the pictures and making words from those pictures. So the oral passages, comprehension, she did good on these. I wasn't surprised about that. I used the same story with the cat. She was good at retelling. She only missed 1 question, which was what's something else the cat does in the story, and she just needed prompting to get there. So other than that, she orally retold the story, answered all my questions correctly. Of the 5, she just missed 1. So I did put her at an independent level. I think that this is a good representation of what she's able to comprehend and kind of retell. For the silent passages, I used the Form D, so I tried to pick something that she hadn't seen before. Form D, passage KB, so beginning of kindergarten again. I kind of tried to stick with that beginning of kindergarten. I didn't want to push her to the middle of kindergarten, just knowing, well, I mean, you start at the lowest level, so where I started, and she did fall in the instructional level, so I stayed there. This was my mom's story. She could label the pictures similar to the actual words, but they weren't exactly the words. She did miss 2 comprehension questions. I think that those pictures were a little misleading. The first one, it kind of looks like the mom might be in a wheelchair, and I think that that Poppy was more focused on that, giving details of what the mom was doing rather than sticking to what the mom was in rather than sticking to the fact that she was sitting down. So she did miss 2 comprehension questions there. Same thing. She took a little bit of prompting on some of the things, and I think that the pictures and the text were kind of too different, but she did fall the instructional level, so I thought that was pretty appropriate for her. As far as listening comprehension, for this one, just knowing her and knowing her ability to retell and her listening skills, and I know the vocabulary she uses from day to day. I chose the Form B, the middle of kindergarten passage, which was my home, and it was the perfect place to start because she missed 2 comprehension questions, which put her at the instructional level. So in this one, the same thing, the pictures were of a dog, of a cat, of a mom and dad, and then at the end it was my home. And in the comprehension questions, it just asked things like, what was the story about? And she wanted to talk about the mom and the dad versus the whole home aspect. So she did miss a couple comprehension questions there, but that was at the middle of kindergarten level. So that was good to see. I had confidence that she was going to be able to retell or just based off my words about a story. So she fell into the instructional level at the middle of kindergarten for listening comprehension. Observations, she had a great attitude, which I totally expected. I think it definitely helps that we have a good rapport with one another. She has a strong foundation set to work with for future learning. She's got really good skills. I think that early literacy assessment really showed that off, which was great. I think that she will totally be ready for kindergarten. I did say that the basic reading inventory doesn't seem like a good fit for kindergarten students due to lack of exposure and strategies. And really, I mean more the beginning of kindergarten, because at the end, like I said, want to assess again after the school year to see how far she has come. So at the end, I'm sure that this is probably a great representation, and especially finding those, those struggling readers, because you have now some room to work with. If it's the end of kindergarten and they're still looking at the beginning of kindergarten passages, then you're going to, put up a red flag. But as far as the beginning of kindergarten, and I know that Poppy has a really good set of pre-academic skills, so seeing that she wasn't really meeting those goals, you think, oh man, she's falling in this frustrational or the instructional level. But really, lack of exposure is everything. And once the end of the school year comes, she could be on the first grade levels, knowing her pre-academic skills. Was it an accurate assessment? I was kind of on the line with this. Some parts seem accurate and some do not, like I just explained. She's falling in this frustrational level for some of these words, but at the same time, she can list all 26 letters and sounds that go with those letters, so which a lot of beginning of kindergarten students can't do, so, you kind of have to weigh it out. So I'm definitely glad I did the early literacy assessment. I think that was a more true picture of what she's capable of doing, because she's not quite at those kindergarten skills yet, but it definitely gives you a baseline to work with, which is something that's crucial. And like I said, I would love to do this again for her once she's at the end of kindergarten and kind of see where she's at, because I know she's going to make huge growth and have lots of success in kindergarten.